Good evening and welcome to the Three Chord Strand Conference Call. I'm Derek Day and it is once again Freeology Friday, where it's either freedom from theology or free theology, depending on where you sit on the theological spectrum. And so today I want to deal with something because, excuse me, this is personal to me. This is personal. And I'm sharing something out of my personal life. This is, how can I say it? At first, self-medicating. Because every now and then, even the encourager needs encouraging. Today was a challenging day. This week was a challenging week. In fact, the last 3 weeks have been really challenging for me professionally. There's been a lot of work, a lot of pressure, a lot of deadlines, and a lot of deliveries that had to be made. And pretty much every day that I woke up for the last 3 weeks has not been joyous. There's been some drudgery. There has been some where you have to go through something. I don't know about you, but sometimes I go through. And I hope that this blesses you, because if what resonates in my spirit is correct, sometimes you go through too. And so today I want to talk about, what do I do when I don't feel like doing? What do I do when I don't feel like doing? Because listen, there are some times when you are just absolutely motivated and getting up and getting out and doing that thing that you need to do. You're excited about it. You're full of energy. You're full of willpower, and you feel like nothing can stop you, that nothing can hold you back, and you just feel it. And those are great days. But what happens when you wake up knowing that this is going to be difficult today? When you know that you're going to have opposition, when you know that you're going to have contention, and what do you do? What do you do? And I had to find this passage of scripture because, it says that Jesus, for our sakes, that he endured the cross and despised the shame. And some people, except for the joy that was set before him. In other words, people think that somehow Jesus actually enjoyed being mocked, being spit on, being punched, being whipped, being crucified, being pierced, and being buried. There are people that actually think that, that Jesus said, oh boy, this is going to be a great day. And I'm here to tell you that Jesus, while he was perfectly God, he was also perfectly human. And what I mean by that is that he went through some really human stuff. So I want to take you today to the book of Luke. The book of Luke. And this is Luke chapter 22. And we'll go from verse 39. From verse 39 to 46. Luke 22, 39 through 46. And I'm reading from the King James. It says, And he came out and went as he was wont to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye not enter into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was, as it were, great drops of blood falling to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said unto them, Why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. And now I want you to catch this, because Jesus was praying. He said, Lord, if it's your will, can I not go through this? Lord, if it's your will, Father, if you will it, you can stop me from having to go through this. How many times have you prayed that prayer? You know that there's something difficult that you have to go through. There's something that's tough. There's something that's hard. And you say, Lord, if it's your will, could you let this cup pass me by? And that drinking from the cup is like when you drank from the cup that had been passed to you, is basically you are endorsing or codifying what it is that you're drinking to. In other words, it's sort of like a toast. You know, they say, hey, prosperity, I'll toast to that. Hey, riches, I'll toast to that. Hey, promotion, I'll toast to that. But it's like, when somebody says, something bad, and you have to drink this cup, that's a hard thing. And Jesus was going through it. You got to catch this. Like it said in verse 43, it said an angel showed up. And that's great. You're going through it and you're praying, and God sends an angel to comfort you and strengthen you. And you're like, yeah, buddy, I got it going on. This is great. I got it. But watch this. That even after the angel showed up and strengthened him, it says that being in agony. Now, I don't know about you, but I've wrestled with this, because it's like if an angel shows up, why am I agonizing? I mean, the angel was there to strengthen me. That means I should now be comforted. The agony should pass. But no, it said, and being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. In other words, that the comforter didn't comfort. Because the threat of what was to come still prevailed. How many of you know that sometimes, you think, Lord, if you just deliver me from this situation, deliver me from this situation. But see, here's what happened, is that even though Jesus didn't feel like it, he was equipped to overcome it. The problem didn't go away. He still had to face what he had to face. And sometimes, in our little peanut brains, we selfishly just say, I don't want to go through this. But you have to understand that there's always the other side. You know, in Mark chapter 4, you find the disciples in a boat with Jesus and they're crossing the sea. And some of these cats, they're fishermen. They had been on this sea hundreds of times and knew all the nuances of this body of water, but they're in a storm that has them frightened. They were frightened, but they found Jesus at the back of the ship sleeping. And they woke him up and they said, "Master, don't you care? We're going to die." And Jesus said, "You cats of little faith, come here, let me show you something." And he gets up on the bow of the boat, and I could just imagine him majestically like Leonardo DiCaprio and his girlfriend in Titanic up at the bow of the Titanic, and they got their arms stretched out, and this is how Jesus did it. He said, "Peace, be still." And then the next thing you find is that they're on the other side. In 1 minute they're in the storm of a lifetime. The next minute they're on the other side. See, there were multiple lessons in this, because what Jesus was telling his disciples is that, yes, there are storms. Yes, there are tribulations. Yes, there are problems, but there's always the other side. So here, Jesus knows he's got to go to the cross, that he's got to stand before the Sanhedrin, that he has to stand before Pilate, that he has to endure beatings, torture. He has to endure all of these things. But it said, for the joy set before him, that he endured the cross, despising the shame. See, there was another side. And Jesus had the ability to see to the other side. So it said that his sweat was as if it were great drops of blood falling to the ground. You got to catch this. There's a medical term for that. It's called hemohydrosis. And there have been people in the 20th century that have experienced this under great duress. Most notably, people who are on their way to their execution. Many of these people sweat blood. It's a condition of high stress to where you begin to bleed through your sweat glands. And not only is it something icky, but I'm told that it's also excruciatingly painful, because your sweat glands are designed to secrete sweat, not blood. And so when blood passes through, it's a thicker medium of liquid. So here Jesus is agonizing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now, he's fully God, and he knows what he has to do. He knows what the outcome is. He knows, but he's also human. And do you understand why the story of the Garden of Gethsemane is there? It's there for a couple of reasons, because number one, it illustrates that what was lost in one garden was regained in another. That's number one. Number two, that you may be going through something. You may be having a midnight hour experience. But see, if Jesus wasn't our perfect example, we really wouldn't understand how to go through this. Because the thing is, you're going to go through some stuff. But you're going to go through prayerfully, and you're going to go, see, watch this. Jesus was able to get up from his prayer knowing that in spite of the physical harm that he was about to endure, that there was a victory assured for all of mankind. So he says, you know, and watch this. People use this to rebuke people who don't pray long. You know, he said that when he rose up from prayer and it was come to his disciples, he said, you know, he found them sleeping. And he says, why sleep ye? Rise and pray lest ye enter into temptation. He's not telling them that they had to pray for an hour. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that, look here, I'm going through something, but I got news for you. You going through something too. And just like I'm going to pray, you need to pray. And watch this. I don't want to make prayer a religious exercise, because that's not what it is. What Jesus was doing is he was having a conversation with his father, but he was having a conversation of like a son about to go into combat. He's like, you know, Daddy, I'm afraid. I don't want to go. But his father assures him. Because you got to understand that, first of all, that Jesus said right before he went and raised Lazarus from the dead, he said, Father, I thank you that you heard me and that you always hear me. So Jesus had the confidence that his father heard him, was going to hear him, was going to respond to him. And when he got up and went from his place of prayer and speaking to his disciples, he wasn't rebuking them for being bad prayer warriors. He's like saying, listen, you need to start talking to Dad too. Because what Jesus is telling them, and he had already told them, and hey, it's expedient that I go away, that the Comforter may come. But he's like saying, hey, I'm going away. You're not going to have me to talk to. So you need to start speaking to Dad now. You need to cultivate this relationship with him. You need this. Because when I leave to go through that which I have to go through for you, you're going to have to go through some stuff for my sake. We have troubles. We have trials. Things don't always go the way we like. But here's my lesson. Because every single day I wanted to sleep late. I'm an early riser. I'm up every day between 5 and 5:30 every single day. The only times that I don't do that is like when I absolutely know I have nothing else to do that day but rest. And I'll sleep in. And when I sleep in, that means I sleep till about 8. But I just don't sleep late. But on all of these mornings when I get up and the sun has yet to break the horizon, and I'm floundering around in the dark of my house, and I'm groaning in the spirit. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to face these people. I don't want to do this stuff. I don't want to answer these calls. I don't. And sometimes I'll say, if it be your will, Lord, move this stuff from me. Get it out of my way. But God responds, I've given you every spiritual and natural blessing that you need to overcome whatever it is that you face. He said, because I'm in you and I'm greater than anything that you will encounter today. So I look to Jesus as my example. I look to Jesus as my mentor. I look to Jesus as my guide, and I look to Jesus as my Savior, because he has already given me the rescue plan. In spec op terms, he's already provided me with the extraction point. You see, Jesus said that in this world you will have tribulations, but then he said something that just ran completely counterintuitive to that. He said, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. It's one thing to know that you're gonna go through stuff. Every human being has to go through something. Every human being has stuff that they have to go through, that they have to endure, that they have to persevere, that they have to overcome. But God is faithful, and he gives you what you need to not only go through it, but to overcome it. Because see, if Jesus just simply endured this, that would be an excellent story. Yes, he was beaten. Yes, he was mocked. Yes, he was spit upon. Yes, he was cursed. Yes, he was crucified. Yes, he was pierced. And yes, he was laid in a tomb. And Jesus going through that gracefully, saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Mother, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. This day you'll be with me in paradise. These are the things that Jesus said. And if he just simply went to the grave, having said that, he would have been recorded in the annals of history as having been an extraordinary human being. History is full of martyrs, and history loves martyrs. And had Jesus simply been a martyr, it would have been awesome. But see, this is where the gospel is too good to be true news. See, because if he did all of that and just went to the grave and end of story, that's good news. He showed us how to live and die gracefully. But hold on to your knickers, because guess what? He got up from that grave. And everything that had been done to him got undone. The only thing that Jesus kept as a souvenir were the holes in his body, so that people would see it and know it was him. Jesus could have closed every hole and completely resurrected every part of his body, but he left some things undone so that people could see and believe. I hope this encourages you, because see, you're going to go through some stuff. I've been going through stuff. I went through stuff today, and I'll be honest. I was sitting here agonizing, over work related stuff and whether or not I was going to be able to get this done or not. And the thing that I had to do, I'm still not finished. However, Dad sent me someone who did finish. And because he finished, I don't have to worry about finishing. All I have to do is just trust and rest. See, that's the thing. We don't have to struggle anymore. We don't have to sweat drops of blood. Yes, you're going to go through some stuff, and no, it's not going to be comfortable, and no, it's not going to be pleasant, and the outcome is not always going to be what you think it should be. But guess what? On the other side, there's victory. On the other side, there's victory. That's what I have for you today. I pray that it blesses you. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up at www.derekday.com. or on facebook.com/Derek Day Ministries, or on Instagram or Twitter. My handle is Derek E. Day. That's DerricKeeday. Or you can hit me up on YouTube. Plenty of videos, over 500 videos that will help you walk out God's unconditional love and unlimited grace and unfettered liberty in your life. And finally, if you have a smartphone, a tablet, or something where you listen to podcasts, you can get the Agape Dominion podcast on Apple iTunes or Google Play. And that's what I have. And watch this. I got to say this before I close, is that there was a part of me that was going to go out on the website today and say, no call, no video, no teaching today. Because that's how I felt. But I want to tell you, and I want to encourage you, that when you don't feel like it, the victory is going to be at its greatest on the other side. That's what I have. God loves you, and so do I. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay blessed.